During past years, I've shared an archery practice technique called blind bell. This is a training technique where you stand very close to the target, just far enough back that the arrow would clear the bow before reaching the target. Draw back, kind of get it pointed in the center, then shut your eyes and totally focus on form. I use this technique not only to improve my form, but to help reduce target panic. I'm always looking for methods to improve my archery form and increase accuracy. Recently, a friend of mine, Mike Tanaka, shared such a technique. Most archers are familiar with paper tuning. They go to a pro shop, they buy a new bow, the guy's setting it up, shoot through the paper 4 or 5 times, and send you home. But let's take that a step further. Paper tuning's not only useful for tuning equipment, it's very useful for perfecting your form. Mike has shared with me it's relatively easy to tune a bow so it shoots nice holes through paper. The bigger issue is tuning the shooter. At most pro shops, they'll shoot the bow and tune the equipment, and they want to make sure the arrow's not flying at close range, tail right, left, up, or down. You do this at close range because if you're shooting further, the feathers, unless the bow's really out of tune, will correct the arrow flight and it would look straight when it goes through the paper. Once the bow is tuned, we need to make sure the shooter is tuned, and that typically has to do with the way the bow is held to grip or how the release is placed against your face. There's a lot of pressure on the grip hand and the release hand when you're pulling back 50, 60, 70 pounds. And if that pressure is slightly left or right, up or down, it will cause the arrow to start out flying anyway, tail right, left, up or down. That's where the paper test comes in. By shooting at close range, 6 or 7 feet back, the arrow, if it's got pressure and it's tail right, left, up or down, will show when it goes through the paper. So for this to work, the target needs to be far enough behind the paper so the arrow can pass all the way through. After the arrow's been shot, when it hits the paper, it will make a perfect bullet hole. But as it continues to slide through, if it's this way or that way or up or down, the fletching will rip the paper. You see the pattern of the fletching, whichever way the arrow's tail is oriented. Ideally, you're making what we call a bullet hole. You see a small round hole and see where each fletching cut the paper. You can set this up at home. It's always safety first, so we've got a frame built that will hold our paper and a large morel target behind the frame. The target's as large or larger than the frame, so if I'm in between here, it's going in the target. Use a very thin paper. I use parchment paper. It's really inexpensive, and it will tell on you. It tears super easy, so it will show the slightest orientation of the arrow. The paper needs to be tight. We hold ours by a couple of clamps. If it's sloppy, you won't get a true picture of how the arrow is tearing. Another tip that makes me a little more comfortable in using this technique is make sure I've got a small crack right here so I can ensure there's a target behind there before I shoot. Don't make a tuning decision based on one shot. Shoot 3 or 4 or 5, see if there's a consistent tear pattern, and if there is, then you can make an adjustment. I'll shoot a few shots to demonstrate, and I'll purposely put a little pressure on one side or the other of my grip and show you what a tear looks like. And then I'll try to shoot a bullet hole. I'll start off by shooting, trying not to pay a lot of attention to my grip. Let's see what kind of tear that produces. I took the first shot and let my face push into the string a little bit, and the results are obvious. The point of the arrow went right through there. It's a nice round hole, but the arrow was flying knock left, which results in a left tear. So you can see here and here where the fletchings went through. You always see those cuts where the fletchings go through and a nice round hole where the arrow point goes through. What we want is those fletchings cutting right around that arrow hole. This shot, I'll make sure the string is clearing my face, but I'll grip the handle fairly tight. Woo! That's a lot of torque there. I often see guys shooting that have that full grip on their bow. All their fingers are wrapped around it and they're kind of holding it like someone's gonna take it out of their hand. This is often the result. The point of the arrow went in here, clean hole, and it tore 1.5 inches or more over here. You can see where the fletchings went through. So that arrow was flying at a very steep angle, making a lot of noise, obviously, and losing efficiency. Now, it would correct itself downrange, but by that time, the deer's probably heard the arrow and maybe started to react. Third shot, well, I'll try to shoot with a good grip and no face pressure. Woo, that looks good. Very good. Third shot, I gotta tell you, since I was doing it on camera and need to make a good hole, I kind of felt the same pressure as shooting at a big old buck, but it worked out good. So first shot was a lot of face pressure. The string was really pushing into me. Second shot, torquing with my hand, had a death grip on it. Third shot, good grip, string's not touching my face, got a hole right in the paper. When the bow is tuned and the shooter is tuned to producing results like this, well, that means all the energy is right behind the broadhead. You can shoot less pounds and get greater penetration. And it's gonna be a quieter arrow downrange, less of a chance that deer's gonna drop before the arrow gets there.